Good day, everyone. I am Christine Nicole Montero, and together with my group, Miss Mera Joy Amarila, Miss Cleo Amor de la Cruz, Miss Ian Lee De Juan, Mr. Roy Lee Jan Francisco, Miss Dina Kiaong, and Miss Chilin K. Toledo. And we will discuss the Lesson 7 entitled Theater.
I am Ian Lee M. De Juan, the first reporter. Lesson 7 is about theater. Theater can have many other meanings. It can refer to an actual building that houses a multi-purpose room, such as that found in a public school or a town hall consisting of a stage with a proscenium, with a few curtains as a backdrop and an audience area. In a non-Western society, it may refer to a battlefield or a divine place where rituals take place. The word theater can also be used to describe a place where an event occurs. Whether one defines theater as an art form or a performance element, it is important to understand that the word can have many meanings depending on the context for which the word is used and the role it plays in setting described. So, ang word na theater ay maaaring magkaroon ng iba pang kahulugan. Maaari itong tumukoy sa isang aktwal na gusali na naglalaman ng mga multi-purpose room tulad ng mga nakikita sa mga pampublikong paaralan o isang town hall na binubuo ng mga entablado na may mga ilang kurtina bilang isang backdrop at isang lugar ng madla. Sa isang hindi kanlurang lipunan naman, ang theater ay maaaring tumukoy sa isang larangan ng digmaan o isang banal na lugar kung saan nagaganap ang mga ritual. Ang salitang theater o teatro ay maaari ding gamitin upang ilarawan ang isang lugar kung saan nagaganap ang isang kaganapan o performance. Now let's have the short history of theater. Theater has always been a part of human culture in one form or another. For example, the ancient Egyptians saw great signs of being very involved in theater and performance, but many believe that it was in fact the ancient Greeks who formed how we think of theater today, despite of beginnings dating back over 2,500 years. Ang teatro ay palaging bahagi ng kultura ng tao sa isang anyo o iba pa. Halimbawa, ang mga sinaunang Egyptian ay napakahusay ng mga palatandaan ng pagiging lubhang kasangkot ng teatro at pagtatanghal, ngunit marami ang naniniwala na sa katunayan ay ang mga sinaunang Griego ang bumuo sa kung paano natin iniisip ang teatro ngayon. Ang mga Griego ay nasa paligid pa rin ngayon, tulad ng mga maskara na ginamit nila upang ipakita ang damdamin at karakter na kadalasang ginagamit bilang simbolo ng teatro. Ang mga maskara na ito ay pinakilala mismo ni Thespis, isang makata na nanalo sa isang dramatikong kompetisyon sa paglalaro. At kung kanino ang mga aktor ngayon ay madalas pinangalang thespians. Ang mga Romano din ay inspirasyon ng teatro ng Greek. Elements of theater. We have 3 elements. Performers. These are people on stage presenting characters in dramatic action. When the actor or actress is on stage, they must be believable as the character they are portraying. If they are not believable, given the audience will be less interested in the production. So, ang mga performers ay ang mga tao sa entablado na nagtatanghal ng mga karakter sa dramatikong aksyon. Kapag nasa entablado ang mga aktor or actress, dapat kapanipaniwala sila bilang karakter na kanilang ginagampanan. Kung hindi sila kapanipaniwala, kung ganon, hindi masyadong interesado ang madla or ang audience sa production. Audience. The essence of theater is the interaction between the performer and the audience. Theater needs to be experienced live. There is a call and response atmosphere that cannot be witnessed in a movie theater. So, isa sa mga importanteng aspeto ng teatro ay ang pakikipag-ugnayan sa pagitan ng mga gumaganap at madla. Ang teatro ay kailangang maranasan ng live. Mayroon tayong tinatawag na tawag sa pagtugon na kapaligiran na hindi masasaksihan sa isang sinehan. Director. The director makes certain that the performers understand the text and deliver the script excitingly and appropriately. The director also makes sure the blocking, costume design, set designs, and other aspects of the show blend together to make a production that works together. So, basically, tinitiyak ng direktor na naiintindihan ng mga gumaganap ang teksto at naihatid ang script ng kapanapanabik at naaangkop. Tinitiyak din ng mga direktor na tama ang blockings at ang mga disenyo ng kasuotan at ang mga disenyo ng set at iba pang aspeto ng palabas ay magsasama-sama upang makagawa ng isang produksyon na naaayon.
Thank you, Ian Ray. So,
Hello everyone, my name is Chilin K.M. Toledo and I will be continuing the report about the 6 elements of theater. So the fourth element of theater is the theater space. It is another necessary element of theater is the space in which performers or audiences come together. It is essential to have a stage or some equivalent area where actors and actresses can perform. It is also essential to have a place for audience members to sit or stand. To summarize, the theater space is a space where a performance takes place. In effect, a large machine in the form of the building that is specialized for presenting performances. So, example Florante at
I am Christine Nicole D. Montero, and I will be discussing the Philippine theater and some of its examples. Philippine theater. Theater in the Philippines is as varied as the cultural traditions and historical influences that shaped it through the centuries. So ang theater here sa Philippines is ginadepict na ang cultural traditions and history kang each places. Ang drama forms nga na successfully developed is ginapadayon gyapon ng iba't iba nga people kang archipelago. This includes indigenous theater. Amo dyan mga rituals nga gina-perform through dances to praise God. Spanish influences like ang sarsuela, which is ang gingamit ng mga Spaniards to influence pagan tribe and teach them about Christianity and religion. Sa Idya, ang komedya which is known as ang moro-moro. Anglo-American influences, dyan naabay ang vaudeville, and original plays by Filipinos. Duro dyan na example pero madiscuss ta na later. These employ representational style or ang actors is gina-acknowledge ang mga audience and presentational style which is ang mga audience is gina-ignore ta na kang mga actors and they are treated as voyeurs or persons who gain sexual pleasure from watching others when they are naked. It is drawn from contemporary modern theater or revitalized traditional forms from within or outside the country. The first theater in the Philippines is ang epic poetry. Epic poetry is considered as the highest point of Filipino folk literature and dates back to the pre-colonial period. Ang kadalasang genre kang epic poetry is romance or adventure and commonly presented during festivals, gatherings, and wakes, and baptism. Singers have been known to perform for hours at a time. One of the famous epic poems is Biag ni Lamang, the national epic of the Ilocano people and notable for being the folk epic to be recorded in written form after being passed on from generation to generation. So, here is our example of a short clip of Biag ni Lamang.
Lupit, para saan ba?
Pambihira! Baliwala lang sa kanilang sigaw mo!
Di isa sa kanila, hindi mo tayuan ng balahibo!
Huwag mong itulad ang kalanos yan sa mga bayang sinakop mo. Hindi lahat ng talahib ay napapayukod ng bagyo.
Lagi! Ano pinipula na ng isang malok kahit itong malok mo na lang kapag hindi mo kailangan ng palayok! Pati ba ito kahit kinala mo sa apoy, hindi nagkakalaman. Hindi ka makuha sa isang sabi! Sa akin!
The second one is Duplo. Duplo is a poetic debate presented through song and dance, originated dana from courtship costumes. Poets used proverbs and riddles to present their suit to the woman of their choice. This ultimately evolved into a more formal debate on issues and started to be called the balagtasan. So here is a short clip of Duplo.
Paano mo nasabi na ako ang kumuha ng loro ng kasabi? Ako lamang ay nasa bahay, maghapon ng marami.
Isang biyak ko ang kumuha, kanyang anino ay nakita. Doon sa may bintana, ang loro ay kinukuha.
Kami lamang ay nasa palayan, naglalaro ng tago-taguan. Kaya't wala kaming oras para ang loro ay itakaw.
The third one is ang senakulo. Another performing arts stemming from religious costume is the sinaculo or passion play. This is the dramatization of the life and death of Jesus Christ and is usually presented as a community activity during the Lenten season. This still endures to the present, ranging from simple productions to more technically sophisticated and modernized versions. So we have also example of Cenaculo.
Moro-moro, originally known as Moro e Cristianos. Nahimo dya nga type kang theater dahil sa influence ka mga Espanyol kauna. Well, bukat rin dya ti surprise para ka natin kay ang Philippines ginrule kang mga Spaniards for over 300 years. Ang Moro-moro usually nagalast for several days. Kag may iba-iba dya nga klase kang themes. Patas kang love and vengeance. Kag also ang most famous ang religious theme about the conflict between Christians and Moros. May dya ako example nga video about sa Moro-moro.
Aming sinungaling, bakit di sinunod? Ang inuutos ko at pinagpipilit. Magpakatatag ka, lilot pala kayo. Ang iyong hininga, ngayon malalagot. Murang talikandas, tigil ang mga sa oras na ito magpakatatag ka. Kapag nabalik ka, lilot pala mara. Tatapusan ngayon, na iyong hininga.
Traditional folk dance. Since we have 7,000 islands here in the Philippines, we have varied cultures and communities. So, marang reason kung andat, may dyan kita diverse collection of folk dances. Ang some famous or most popular folk dance examples are Singkil, originated from Maranao, and Maranao, people of Lake Lanao in Mindanao, and from the epic of Darangen, the Itik-Itik, which originated as improvised dance in Surigao del Sur sa Mindanao gyapon, and was discovered by national artist for dance Francisca Reyes Aquino. And also, most especially, the Tinikling, which is similar to Singkil, with use pero nagagamit na kang bamboo poles nga kinanglan laktudan kang mga dancers habang nagasaot. May sample man ako dyan kang traditional folk dance. Vaudeville. Ang dyan nga type kang theater nagalin sa mga Amerikano. Kag ginapronounce na originally as vaudeville. Dahil nga nagalinta na sa American. So, ang pronunciation na daw American gid. Patas ka nga ng kapareha sa may Amerika, ang dyan nga type kang theater include kang variety kang musical numbers, comedic kag dramatic skits. Kilala niyo si Dolphy, diyan tanda ka nag-umpisa kang perform, diyan tanda ka umpisa nakilala sa may vaudeville. Nakilala lang tanaya uniquely dahil sa ginspell ta na as or indigenize ta na ang ngaran na as vaudeville. May sample man dyan kang video kang vaudeville.
Dinggin mo, awit ng
Zarzuela is a type of melodrama. When we say melodrama, include tanaya kang pagkanta kag pag-arte. Ang jangak type kang theater was influenced by Spanish pero incorporate na or ginled na kang Filipinos para nga mabutangan kang nationalistic themes. Nagresult pa ganita na dya kang pag-arrest kay Aurelio Tolentino kag Pascual Poblete. Kag nakaagi man dyan na naging shutdown ang Zarzuela companies during the American occupation dahil gani influence na kang Spaniards, so gin shutdown na kang American. As a proof of its importance in Philippine culture, in 2011 the National Commission for Culture and Arts designated the Zarzuela as a nominee for the UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage list. So, may sample man ako dyan nga video nga ipakita ninyo.
Julia, tingnan ko nga ang binubordahan mo.
Huwag natin yung, huwag mo na tingnan. Masama ang pagkakayari. Nakakaya.
Isang silip lamang ay hindi ko ihipuin. Ganun lang.
Sa ibang araw pagkatapos na. Oo, ipakikita ko sa'yo.
Good day everyone, I am Marjoy Amarila, reporting the famous theatrical works in the Philippines. So I would read the slide first, then I'll explain it later. To begin with, Orosman at Zafira by Francisco Baltasar. Okay, deviating from the standard commedia, where the conflict is between the Moros and the Cristianos, this first play is about warring kingdoms in the Middle East. Significant 20th century production of this play include Rolando Tino's teaching for Teatro Filipino in 1977 and Jonas Sebastian for Tanghalang Filipino in 1993. It was also performed at the Rond Point in Paris, France. In 2008, Dexter Santos presented a reimagined dance theater production for Dulaang UP based on Baltasar's original text. Okay guys, this is si Francisco Baltasar, is also known as Francisco Balagtas. Okay? And then, ang Orosman at Zafira is komedya siya, pero bakit na typical na komedya. Di ba ang komedya is about Moros and Cristianos? Itong Orosman at Zafira is about Muslims lang, Moros lang siya. Kasi nga from Middle East siya, although Filipina ang writer. Ito, basically, ito si Orosman and Zafira, they are lovers. The storyline of Orosman and Zafira, basically, nag-rotate na between Orosman, Zafira, and sa brother ni Orosman. Actually, 3 kingdoms to may 3 kingdoms, conflict between 3 kingdoms. Kasi itong brother ni Orosman, pinatay niya yung father nila, so he could inherit the throne and he will kill Orosman so he could marry Zafira, which didn't happen actually. Next is Tinikalang Ginto by Juan Abad. Okay, this is Tinikalang Ginto means the golden chain. As you can see in the image, there's a chain. Okay, this play generally considered the best example of drama simbolico or allegorical drama that was banned as seditious a few months after its first performance and its author sentenced to imprisonment. One notable production of this play was by UP Broadcast Association Dulaang Cafeteria in 1979, which featured Marlena Fileo Gonzalez, Lou Veloso, and Herman Esqueta, directed by George Hernandez. So, lang ginto means the golden chain. As you can see in the image, there was a golden chain there because that was really Tinikalang Ginto really means. As you can see sa slides, mabasa dyan nga si Juan Abad na preso ka na because ang Tinikalang Ginto nga piece na is parang against sa government before, which is the Americans. Kasi ito, symbolic siya eh. Nire-reflect niya kung anong nangyayari sa society, itong Tinikalang Ginto. And
Actually, Juan Abad was imprisoned and nagka-fine siya ng $2,000. Up next is Walang Sugat by Severino Reyes. Music by Fulgencio Tolentino. Okay. This Zarzuela is discredited with dislodging the commedia as the dominant theater form in Manila. So basically, Zarzuela na yung Walang Sugat, unlike kainakang previous nga theater act is komedya, tanatuyatan na Zarzuela. So, amuya nga Zarzuela, ang credited nga nagkas kang dominance kang komedya. Before komedya ang dominant, pero gisa na ka Zarzuela thanks to Walang Sugat by Severino Reyes. Okay, move on. Set in the last decade of the 1990s, it revolves around the love story of Tenyong and Julia amidst the war with Spain and later with the Americans. A revival was produced by the Zarzuela Foundation of the Philippines in 1970 at the Cultural Center of the Philippines, directed by Daisy Hontiveros Abellana. Tanghalang Filipino mounted its own productions directed by Dennis Faustino in 1992 and by Carlos Sihoyon Reina in 2012. Tanghalang Ateneo presented its own production in 2010, directed by Ricky Abad, with the same set and costume design by Salvador Bernal, used in Tanghalang Filipinos 1992 staging. So, actually, this Walang Sugat niya is inspired na Filipino Revolution during 1892, which was the revolution against the Spaniards. Kaya very symbolic din siya. Okay. Moving on is Bagong Cristo by Aurelio Tolentino. Okay. Aurelio Tolentino also wrote Kahapon, Ngayon at Bukas and was sentenced to prison for it. Okay? Ang clarify ko lang is, ang Bagong Cristo, wala dyan na preso si Aurelio Tolentino, kundi retusos ang ka-work na which is Kahapon, Ngayon at Bukas. This play, called by its author as Drama Socialista, represents one of the early attempts to interpret the Christ story according to the contemporary conditions. Kumbaga, gin-remake ng life ni Christ, pero related na sa current events at the time during the 90s. The main character is Jesus Katgaya, who wins followers among the workers but angers the wealthy magdangal. He orders Jesus and forces him to carry a cross in which he would be crucified. Anton Juan Jr. directed the production of the play of Dulang Mabaylan in 1977, which toured many campuses and various sites all over the country. Personally, I like this Bagong Cristo kasi it was played also in the Marcos regime. Parang ginamit siya para pukawin ang damdamin ng mga Pilipino to stand up against the regime. You deserve more than this. Parang ganun yung sinasabi ng play. Dalagang Bukid. This is not isda, but a play. Dalagang Bukid is written by Hermogenes Ilagan and music by Leon Ignacio. The most popular Zarzuela of its time, Dalagang Bukid also became the basis for the first full-on Filipino feature film. Atang de la Rama originated the title role and played it in the film version. It is the story of Angelita, a country waif who sells flour in a cabaret. She is courted by Don Silvestre, a usurer, but her true love is Cipriano, a law student. The course of true love never runs smooth, of course, but it still wins out in the end. Tanghalang Filipino revived the play on the occasion of the conferment of National Artist Honors on Atang de la Rama in 1987 with a production directed by Nonan Padilla and starring Naomi Manikan Gomez. It will also serve as the inaugural presentation of the then newly organized CCP President Theater Company. So this one is Dalagang Bukid. It's about ang hilitang nagbenta ka mga flowers sa cabaret, parang bar, ganun. Tapos si Don Silvestre, usurer siya. It means loan shark na may gusto kay Angelita, pero syempre si Angelita may iba talaga nga chula palang love triangle law student. Syempre siguro poor dyan si law student, tapos diba, ganun naman usually mga love story ng mga naunang araw, which today is gina-copy man ibang author maybe not copy, inspired, ganun. Also, ang dalagang bukid ni is yung gamit na sa inyong representation of newly organized CCV President Theater Company. Kumbaga, tanang mga first sa mga perform nanda, kang gin-organize, kang bago pa lang tanda, amo yung dalang bukid ang mga una gin-perform nanda. Okay. Okay. Lastly, hanggang dito na lamang at maraming salamat. Uy, di pa ako nagpapaalam. It was the title of the theater film. Okay. This was written by Orlando Nandres. Okay, Nandres could also be presented in this list para isong parisukat. Okay, pwede man kuno sana i-replace instead of hanggang dito na lamang at maraming salamat, pwede man kuno sana i-represent kang para isong parisukat. Mag-explain ko na ito. Tapos lang ka slides, pero i-explain ko na. But this play is regarded as the first play to openly tackle the gender issue. Wow! Earning praise for its realistic portrayal of the Filipino homosexual. This stereotype giggling manicurista, Julius or Julie, played in the original production by Len Santos, then Manny Castañeda is contrasted with a dignified small-town businessman or Fidel played by Lino Broca, whose paternal attraction towards Efren, Bembol Rocco, turns to sexual attraction. Gardo Labad directed the first staging by PETA. The play is now a staple in many campus groups' repertoire. Filipino Tanyada adapted it into a film in 2007 with Noni Buencamino as Efren and John Santos as Julius or Julie. Repertory Philippines 2009 staging of Nick Joaquin's A Portrait of the Artist as Filipino, directed by Jose Marie Avellana. So, this is my favorite. Hanggang dito na lamang at maraming salamat. Favorite ko to. Kasi today, di ba, very timely na Pride Month, di ba, para sa mga LGBTQ. Pero basically, ang story na kaya is nag-flow between sa sangka businessman nga na-in-love na sa sangka fellow ng laki. Okay, homosexual nga, sabi. But may new term ka na, bisexual na actually ngayon yan, bisexual. In love na students, yan ang laki nga yan. Tapos, among ng titles hanggang dito na lang at maraming salamat because ang laki nga student nga gastuhan kang businessman nga yan is kinbiyaan tana at the end. Kaya hanggang dito na lamang at maraming salamat. Thank you for listening.
Itong Maranao 1974 Sining Cambayoca Ensemble. So along with Rodolfo Galenzoga's Maranata, this piece developed under the direction of Frank Rivera mines the rich folklore of Mindanao. So Maranata means old Lanao tale about big black predatory bird. This exposed the corruptions of politicians in Mindanao as well as the militarization in these regions. So mga kwentong Maranao utilizes 5 languages which is Maranao, Cebuano, Filipino, English, and Spanish. And consists of stories revolving around the adventures and misadventures of the folk hero Pilando using the bayok. So, ang bayok is a song by Maranao. It is a topical singing done with moderate tempo. So, in its exploration of such themes as the relationship between men and women, power and its use, and corruptions. So, this kind of theatrical play is the overarching story of Pilando designing to be a better man in order to win the heart of his woman he loved. So, in its staging normally uses various folk dances and movements and features the many uses of Malong. Bayanan, 1975, Bienvenido Noriega Jr. So considered as Noriega's most famous work, this play was premiered by Teatro Filipino in 1975 under the directions of Rolando Tino and has since been staged many times by Bulwagang Gantimpala, Tanghalang Filipino, and by other theater groups under the directions of Tony Espejo, Peo de Castro III, and Anton Juan Jr., among others. So, ang Bayan-Bayanan is the story revealed the hopes and the frustrations of Filipino expatriates living in Switzerland, a foreign country. So, ang Bayan-Bayanan is an OFW team. So, Noriega's plays are about the conflict surrounding Filipino identity as a product of institution. His plays elaborate on social problems and traditional practices, as well as the identity of the Filipinos as people. Next, by Bonifacio Ilagan. So, Ilagan's earlier work, Welga Welga, could also be in this list, but this play, which was originally written in English, so gained wider popularity and influence after it was staged by the UP Repertory Company in 1977 under Ben Cervantes' directions. So, Pagsambang Bayan is a theatrical play about a remembrance of martial law. Marcos's days. So, Pagsambang Bayan was one of the entries for a festival of plays in the Pista Rizalina, or Festival of Arts and Music in CCP, and will continue to be one of the quintessential storytelling of history in the form of performing arts. Paglakbay ni Sisa, Isang No sa Laguna, 1977, by Amelia La Peña Bonifacio. So, among the more significant experimentations with theatrical form was the play in which the dead Sisa comes back to haunt Padre Salve, utilizing the form of conventions of Japanese no. So, this play tells about the wonders of the restless souls of Sisa as it longs for justice for the unjust treatment of the priest to her sons and pain suffered by her family that ends in the act of saying her husband's last breath. So, I shall die without even seeing the break of dawn in my beloved country. To who shall witness this event, do not forget us who fell in the midst of the dark night. That states the hope of Filipinos for its country. That's the theatrical play it's all about. Mayo A. Ambiente Uno at Iba Pang Kabanata, 1978 by Al Santos. So, this play is based on the life of Lapiang Malaya founder Valentin or Tatang de los Santos, dubbed the second Messiah, who led this group on March to Malacanang in 1967 that resulted in the massacre of most of its members. So, ang Al Santos Mayo Ambiente Uno at Iba Pang Kabanata, 1978, is showed the life of Valentin de los Santos' journey against colonial rule to reveal how and why Tatang worked so hard for freedom. So, Juan Tamban, 1979 by Malu Leveste Hakub. So, after its initial production directed by Joel Lamangan, Juan Tamban came to be known as the typical petaplay, a well-researched piece based on real-life events that portrays contemporary social problems with accuracy and insight, combining realism and non-realistic styles. So, Juan Tamban, 1979, focuses on the upper middle class social worker who gets politicized while studying her thesis. So, thesis subject, the street urchin Juan Tamban, who eats roaches and lizards. So, the play won second place in the 1979 Carlos Palanca Memorial Awards. Ateneo Entablado revived the play in.
Let's go on with Mai Imai, written by Eman Lacaba, Al Santos, and Malu Levestiaco. Now, this play was first written by Eman Lacaba. However, he died. So, after his death, gin-rewritten, kagin kumpleto ni Santos kag ni Jacob ang play nga dya. Now, this play includes the character of Raha Sulaiman, Lakandula, Panday Pira, Magat Salamat, kag si Mai, which is the daughter of Ra Sulaiman and Ligaya, the daughter of Panday Pira. Now this play is actually set before the Hispanic period, which means before the conquest of the Spaniards. Now, after the Spaniards came, ginsalaan da si Mai nga witch tana, and because of that, that resulted to the death of his people and his family. Now, kang na-witness ni Mai nga because of that accusation na patay ana parents kag people, naghalinta na sa Mount Bakiling, which is amuraan ng place nanda nga ginaulian. Then after that, and upon leaving, nag-change na ang name ng Mai sa Maria. Let's proceed with may katwiran ang katwiran. Now, this play revolves around the two characters, the senior, who is the rich person, and the kasama, who is the poor person. Now, this senior happens to kill a woman. So, gin-encourage na ang kasama nga imawanta na mag-escape. Kag nag-agree man ang kasama nga dya. Now, while walking through the woods and rivers, may nakita kang senior may parapit nga tulisan or bandits kananda. So, gin-encourage na pagid ang kasama nga ma-change sanda clothes para masalaan ang kasama nga mangranon kag tana ang poor nga person. So, kung nag-abot na mga tulisan kananda, gindakop nanda ang kasama kay abit kit nanda tana ang mangranon. Now, after seeing nga ginbuol rin kang mga tulisan, ang kasama nga dya, kag he ride together with them while he was walking, nag-ugot ang senior kay he asked himself nga, andot kailangan gawak tana samantalang ang kasama ga-ride together with the tulisan. So, abang ga-walk tana through the woods and rivers paagto sa town, ga-ugot tana about that. So, kang naabot na ng town, nakita na nga napatay ang kasama, ginpatay kang mga bandits. And after that, nagparapit ka na mga tulisan nga ga-ugot man, kay kinambal na ginpatay nanda ang kasama, kay bisan pangmanggaranan ana nga bayo, wala gay tati kwarta. Tas karan, ang senior nga dyan naghambal nga, kay tana ang tuod nga manggaranon. So, ang mga tulisan nag-ugot, kay they feel betrayed, syempre. Kag, after that, gusto nanda nga ibalaan ang bag nga dara kang senior, kay, syempre, gina-expect nanda nga dyan ang mga jewelry, mga kwarta. However, kang parapit ng sanda sa senior nga dyan, may nag-abot nga helicopter. Sad kara, ginbadil ang mga tulisan, and ginbual nanda ang senior para mag-escape to safety. Now, what is the message of the play? Of course, that is the analysis of class. Very evident ang hierarchical system, which means nga, because of the wealth that they have, may bahal sanda nga opportunity nga bisan may crime sanda makapalagyo sanda, kay may kwarta sanda, may influence sanda, kag they have means to go with it. Kay syempre may mga balay na sanda nga agtunan bisan sa bagkat sa lugar nga gintabuan kang crime. The third play that we will talk about is entitled Bombita. Now, Bombita is a black comedy. It revolves around the Air Force recruits, including obedient soldier Corporal Bombita. That time, gin-request sanda nga maga-deliver kalsang ka-box. Nga wala sa nakamaan kung anong silid. The only thing that they know is may ngaran ta nga top secret information. I-deliver ng daraan sa Kalibo Aklan. So, along the way, narakraka anda nga na-meet. They fought along with the robbers, the sales agent, mga drivers. They don't know why. Pero this trip actually became a self-discovery to the soldiers kay si Corporal Bombita may imauta ng mga soldiers sa pag-deliver kang box nga ya. Now, they questioned nga why do they have to be disobedient to their higher ups to the point nga puro yester lang sanda nga why daw nga kailangan maging subservient sanda katama sa mga higher ups da. Now, that trip ended up turning the tables on their leaders. Now, what is the intention of the play? The play actually questions the blind obedience and subserviency of the young rookies in the military. Let's move on with Mario O'Hara's Insyang. Now, this play revolves around the girl named Insyang. Si Insyang nga dya, she lived together with her mother and her mother's boyfriend, which technically her stepfather. One day nga lang, Insyang was raped by her stepfather. So that time, of course, because it is very traumatizing nga event ka na, decide ta na nga mag-elope sa ana nga boyfriend nga maghalin dyan para hindi tayo ma-remember ang natabo. Now, nagpayag ang boyfriend na nga magtanan sanda. Then after nga biyahe sanda, she was later on abandoned by her boyfriend. So that time, wala tati choice kundi magbalik kay wala man ta maan kung diin ta na mag-agto, wala ta nakamaan kung may mga kamag-anak ta na nga agtunan. So she decided nga magbalik sa anda nga balay. Now that time, she was full of the idea of revenge. Kagin pangako na sa sarili na nga wala anti makasakit ka na. And she decided nga maging wary and guarded against people, and that is the result of the event that happens to her. Now we could infer from the play nga those traumatizing events could change a person's personality to the point nga we lost trust to them. Moving on, we have Pilipina Circa. On the surface, it talks about the pair of lovers, Leonor and Emilio, and Leonor's cousin Pura and her lover Andres. On the surface, Leonor's uncle wants to marry her off to an American, because this play is set during the American period. That time, very powerful ang mga American, syempre, because that's their period pa that time. Now, ang uncle nga dya, he happens to be a businessman, and he wanted to marry Leonor off to an American to further his business interest. Nga lang, Leonor of course, love Emilio. So, syempre, grabe ana nga pang hindi. And si Andres na nag-agto ta sa mountain. So in the name of love, si Pura nagsunod man ta na dito sa mountain nga to. So wala ang gawa tibalita kananda. And after that, now let's move on with Emilio. Si Emilio nga dya, nagadalagan ta na as a candidate for the Nationalistas Party. And his uncle, Don Pardo, is running for the candidacy of the Federalista Party. Now, why are we moving on to the political interest? Because on the surface, the play talks about love, but actually, it caters on the political conflict between the family of Emilio. Because of the political conflict, sandalang man, wala nagkatuluyan si Emilio kag si Leonor, kay si Leonor nga ran ang family na is federalista and Emilio is a nationalista, and they are really against Emilio kay hindi anda gusto nga maging nationalista ang nga party. Kay that time gusto anda maging part ang Pilipinas kang US. That is the essence of the play, the political conflict between the family. Lastly, let's talk about Buwan at Baril sa Ebmahor. Now, this play talks about the martial law, that upon the assassination of Aquino, it gives off the idea that the gloves are off, which to the people, which means that they wanted to fight and they will fight. Now, that reason became the focal point of the protest march to be held. Now, the play actually has so many characters shown in every stages. There is a woman, a wife, that was told to recognize the body of her deceased husband, a daughter that mourned her father's death, and a farmer and an urban worker that joined together with the protest against the regime. Now, why does the protest march against the regime happen aside from the assassination of Aquino? Now, it happens because these people have witnessed tragedies within their life, and that tragedies and that stories united them to make a change, to do something, so that those previous incidents that they have witnessed and they have suffered won't be suffered and won't be witnessed by other people again. That is the essence and that is the intention of the play.